Do. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm back. This is my first live stream, and ages. But anyway, we are not going to be talking about Lego. We're not going to be talking about Kobe either. It's going to be quite an interesting one. We are going to be expecting a couple of people coming on here as well. I am joined, first of all, by the lovely Notes this way, Family Bricks, or Matt Elder. We are mostly going to be talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So we're going to keep it light at the beginning, but bearing in mind there will be heavy spoilers for the last episode. So if you haven't watched it, go off, watch it, come back, and then hear our opinions on it. Because you can obviously rewatch this. Please do. And while you're at it, give the video a little thumbs up. So we're going to be talking about all of them, give us our thoughts over it, and see if we actually enjoyed it. Did it live up to all our expectations? Was the CGI good, bad, musical score? Just a casual Star Wars lunatic side of things. So we're not going to go too deep on it. But first of all, hey, Mini Bricks, how you doing? It's lovely to see you in chat. But also, yes, this will be also uploaded onto Spotify later on. So if you want to listen to it as a podcast style, by all means. I have no idea how it's going to sound like in the podcast. No idea. So, have fun with that one. But anyway, first of all, Matt, how are we? How the devil are we?
Yeah, it's been a while. Good. No, it's, thanks for having us on and doing this. It's always great to sit down and chew over some of the bits that we've just watched and sort of see, am I crazy? Am I the only one who thought this? Or, is there other things there that other people sort of also picked up on?
Absolutely. Yeah, Brett, Bills, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Brett.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're talking all things Star Wars today, especially Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, so we get into the light stuff, I think. What did you think of the series overall? I'm going to try and stay impartial as I can. It's going to be really difficult for me, but what did you think? What were your overall thoughts of it?
Look, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest, but then I sort of looked at it slightly differently. And I think, as we sort of just mentioned a little bit off camera beforehand, I think our expectations after the Book of Boba were a little bit low coming off that. So you're just sort of like, I don't want to have high expectations for it. But I watched it with my kids, so I always see it slightly differently because I can go watch the episode, have a chat with some people, big Star Wars fans, and rip things to shreds. And then it's like, wait a minute. The kids were on the couch, jumping up and down, cheering, Obi-Wan, and really getting into it and all those sorts of things. So, but no, it's, and I'm sure we'll get into it more as we sort of break this down a bit. But I thought overall, if you look at it as a Star Wars piece of content, we know because of where it's set, they're going to start here, they're going to end there. So the only thing is what's happening in between, and what are those relationships, and what are some of the dynamics and the drama you can put into that. And I think, in the series, we wanted to see some fights with Darth Vader, which we got a couple of those. We wanted to see, how that plays out. I'm glad we saw parts of Alderaan, because then it becomes less of, in the fourth movie, it just gets blown up and it's nothing. And then as soon as you see the architecture and people and things like that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, a lot of people died and a whole civilization got wiped out here.
Yep. A very pretty planet at that. I must admit, it was a very gorgeous planet.
It was really nice to see that architecture. But then, and a massive spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched it, so getting to see Qui-Gon at the end, that was, ticked all the boxes.
Clearly being a ghost hasn't de-aged him that well, though. It seems like he still gets old. Hey, Miss Bricks, yes, I am back on the tube again for now, for as long as I can. So I'm the same as you. I enjoyed most of it. I would say, I'm not going to say I liked all of it. Certain characters annoyed me. I think we can kind of guess which one that one was. I have nothing against any actor or actress at that in any kind of way. It's just the way they were written, I'm afraid. And that brings it on to another point. There were some very clunky storylines in this writing, and and also obviously we got the infamous Lego set as well, based on one in an industrial state, I suppose we might say. Just an incredibly overpriced Lego set for a scene that was really shot darkly, and it's
the other interesting thing with that is you get one of the minifigs is a character who then sets us off a thermal detonator in an episode or two later and kills himself, allegedly.
Absolutely
Like,
pointless, wasn't it? Absolutely
okay.
pointless. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, no, we're going to spend 70 quid and get this set for a figure that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, the droid was cool, but I think he actually got a comedian to play him. I can't remember. And I was like, well, he doesn't even bloody speak. So what the hell's the point? But overall, I think definitely the last two episodes I definitely enjoyed more of the last two episodes than the rest of the entire series, which is for me is a little bit of a shame because Obi-Wan and Anakin, Vader, Vader's obviously iconic. There's no getting away from that. And I think, definitely knowing that Reva knows Anakin, that kind of took me out of it. It's like, no way would she know. No way would she be alive to know that. But Vader done everything he can to kill everyone that knew he was Anakin beforehand, Anakin Skywalker. And I was like, she should be dead. There's no way that she would know. But I mean, obviously we get that cool fight with Reva and Vader in episode 5.
Yeah.
Which, Vader was just using her as a toy, just not even bothering using his own lightsaber for crying out loud. That was so cool. I mean, that really kind of this is how badass Vader actually is. He is a force to be reckoned with. And obviously we'll get into episode 6 in a little while. But yeah, I thought that was so cool. And that was quite well executed as well. It's a nice, bright atmosphere. You can see it. But I think, you've been stabbed twice. Bear in mind, one as a 7-year-old, and now again you've been stabbed again. You should be dead. Especially at the 7-year-old. You're dead. That's it. I feel so for Phil. I mean, Liam Neeson must be watching this, going, "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Was I hated that much?" I was like, but yeah.
But to be fair, I mean, you got Darth Maul completely chopped in half, and they gave him mechanical legs before giving him real legs back again. So, I mean, it's not without precedent.
No, it's not. And, for everyone that say, oh, well, Disney brought Maul back. No, that was George Lucas that brought Darth Maul back from the dead. And I think they've done that a little bit better because obviously Darth Maul literally did survive on his anger. I mean, you're still slapped in half and you're falling down effectively a bottomless pit. You are a big pile of black and red mush on the bottom of whatever the hell's down there. So it's like, no, he should absolutely be dead as well. But I mean, he ultimately dies anyway at the end of it anyway. But I mean, Reva was only 7 years old. I mean, a lightsaber, is a pretty thick blade at the end of the day, and you're a kid and all you're tiny and everything else like that. And stabby. It's like, I don't see you coming back from that. And as a human child as well, she is a human. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know Disney ain't going to show a Vader, well, despite he did, but kill a child in live action. Not even George Lucas went down that road. They just kind of implied that he done it.
Implied it. And I think that's also becoming a bit of a problem with some of the Disney parts of it. You get the characters, they get killed, and you're like, they're not dead. Like, first episode or whatever, Grand Inquisitor, he's not dead. Cad Bane, he's not dead. Like, it's just like, okay,
it's basically Star Wars brought to you by Marvel, because as we all know, it's like everyone in the Marvel universe, they ain't actually dead. We're going to the multiverse, we bring Tony Stark back, we bring them. It's basically what's happening, isn't it? It's like a lightsaber stabbed it. Butterflesh wounds. Don't worry about it. You've lost your arm, you've lost your legs. So that's kind of like what I'm seeing at the moment. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there that has the same feelings as me on that one. But yeah, I think overall, like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Ewan McGregor, he was phenomenal. You could see that he threw into that. He's a talented actor anyway. I've got a lot of time for him. McGregor, I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job on that. And seeing him come back and still having the same voice, which must have been difficult for him to recreate that voice again. So for him, yeah, I think it was really good. And obviously his stunt action as well in regards to his lightsaber. He obviously hasn't lost his touch on that. He's still knows to swing a lightsaber around. That was good. That was good.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be really good to see some behind the scenes on some of those lightsaber fights and things. Because recently been jumping up in my feed has been Star Wars Theory, when he watched the behind the scenes stuff from the prequels, and the stuff that they did for the training and everything. So yeah, it'd be good to sort of see 20 years on how
yeah, you would have thought they would have forgot some of that. Yeah, it's like seeing them twirl around like that. Like, whoa, I'm not that young anymore. Woo, Jesus, but
you get age. You age. You don't move as quick.
I'm about the same age as Hayden Christian as what he was then now, and it's like I can't even do that kind of stuff now. And I consider myself relatively quite active, but just to say hello to Zissou. How are you doing? Welcome. Please share your thoughts if you watched the Kenobi show. Share your thoughts. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? And share your opinions on it by all means. And we will get to those in a minute. All right, let's get into the spoiler side of things. Let's just go into it. Episode 6. What did you think of it? Episode 6. What did it live up to your expectations?
I think so. Yeah, we just literally just watched it with the kids, so still sort of processing it. So it's still pretty raw. Again, it hit the main sort of marks and things like that. I mean, the thing I would have liked is a bit more dialogue between Vader and Anakin, because they just seemed to go straight at it. There was occasionally a bit of dialogue, because I thought that would have been the one thing I would have really liked with this series, is just to sort of see that them obviously coming back at each other after 10 years or whatever it is, and just their reactions to each other. And you did see a bit of that, but I thought that could have been played out for more drama. You had a lot of the sort of echoes there in terms of, he gets put into that pit, sort of like how he was in episode 1, and, how he's then was still able to, that whole sort of thing, and take advantage of the Sith anger and whatever else and come back out on top. It was interesting just to see how quickly he repowered up. So
yeah. I mean, was it either me or when Obi-Wan was forced into that hole by Vader, thrown down there? Do you think he should have said, "Now I have the high ground"? Or was that just too cheesy?
I mean, we were sort of just joking in the background, sort of as he's like that. Who has the high ground? High ground, high ground. Because there's some of those robots. Like, high ground. How are you doing today, Solo? High ground.
yeah. But I must admit, I mean, obviously, I'm a huge, like going through that whole scene at the end, like when, Vader's, you can see Hayden Christian's face back there as Anakin, and the silhouette of the blue lightsaber going over. You could almost see, like, maybe Obi-Wan is, there is a slight emblem, because obviously we all know Vader never killed Anakin. It was just impossible for him to do it. But just seeing that scene between like Obi-Wan's, like the realization is like, oh crap, Vader's actually killed Anakin. It's like, and the tears coming out of his eyes, like, I have actually lost my friend. It's like, goodbye, my friend. It's like that. I must admit, it was a little heartstring in me. I was just like, oh man, that is, he's already fought him once already and believed that he was dead, and now coming back to it again, and now the realization that he is actually dead. It's like, God, that did kind of, like, they did. I think they worked that bit out right, but I'm 100% right. I wish you're right. I think there should have been more dialogue between Vader. Even more flashbacks. I mean, it just seems weird to me that they hired Hayden Christians and to become as back as Anakin / Vader, and see him in just one episode. I'm like,
and that
seems like a bit of waste.
Yeah, but when we saw that in that one episode where there's sort of flashback to the Master Padawan sort of thing, I really enjoyed that. And it was good to see Hayden Christensen as
that was beautiful to watch. That was so good.
And taking you back to that sort of prequels, Clone Wars type period of time, and that was great. And like you, I would have liked to have seen more of that. I thought the Vader thing with the mask was interesting, because it reminded me so much of when Ahsoka did that in was it Rebels? It was sort of like so much kind of like, and that's the sort of thing where were they really retreading a lot of beats that we've sort of seen before, or is it just like, well, some people probably haven't seen Rebels, so we can kind of get away with it within this live action version. So
I think they're probably trying to do what they done with George Lucas, because George Lucas always says it's like poetry. It's got a rhyme, hasn't it? It's got a flow. And it's like, well, Vader's had his helmet cut off. I mean, in the comic books, Vader's sliced and diced all the goddamn time, so it's just a cakewalk for him. But it's I think they're trying to do a little bit of poetry, a little bit of symmetry there. It's your master and your Padawan has both sliced your mask off. They are, you're clearly not strong enough yet to beat both of them at the same time. But I thought that was really good, and how they lit his face up. And then as soon as he turned around and said, "I am now," Anakin is dead, and just the glow of his lightsaber just kind of came up. But what made me laugh was it's just like Obi-Wan, peace, bye, and just flies off. I'm like, really?
It's like even the kids when we were watching it, they're sort of like, well, if you just killed him there, why did you walk away again? Just kill him there.
You could have ended the Empire's reign right there. Done. It's all your fault, Obi-Wan.
A curveball. That would have been like a Terminator Genesis, where it's just like, okay, now it's splitting off into its own direction. But they're not going to do that.
Getting into splitting in different directions. Hey Mayo, how you doing, buddy?
Somebody said Mayo, and Zeus's
splitting off in different directions. What do you think of the dynamic between Obi-Wan and Leia? Because
I thought it was in the beginning. It was the sort of thing I really didn't like her character, like in the first episode or two, and you saw some things online. It's like, well, if you don't like this character, then you hate blah 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 blah. It's like, no, I just don't like the character because it's poorly written. And yes, it's meant to be kind of annoying and things like that. By the end of it, though, and I think this is something you commented on before, you like to get to the end of a whole series to see it, and that you can sort of say, okay, it makes sense where she's ended up a little bit. There's some little bits of detail which I'm not happy with in terms of, if you've, as a 10-year-old, because one of the kids is close to that sort of age, if you don't know your mother and father and you find somebody who knows them and things like that, like, wouldn't you be pressing them for information? Like,
well, yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? You would absolutely. But I find it a bit weird that coming through this episode, so obviously the whole episode is mostly based around Obi-Wan looking after Leia, and then coming to episode 6, you've just given Leia to a dude that just basically was going to betray you in a couple of episodes beforehand. Yeah, look after her. I mean, I know you're a scumbag, you're a cheater, and you're a liar, but you got this, right? You got this. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go stab a guy in the face now. It's like, would you would, I know obviously you're being shot at by a Star Destroyer, but putting Leia aside, did anyone in that ship look remotely interested or panicking that there was an actual Star Destroyer shooting the living crap out of them? It just looked like one dude just rolling a phone. Yeah, never did.
I mean, there is an element of that, but if they're all people who have been running from the Empire for such a long time, not that they'd be numb to it, but it might be a little bit more there. But certainly take your point. And then I think that was the interesting thing within the Obi-Wan series, which how Obi-Wan was, subtly and nicely able to manipulate everyone, whether it being the third sister, whether it's whatever. Because, as what that 6th episode was, Vader is so much enraged with just me, he'll follow me. So if I go somewhere else, I can manipulate his rage against him, which it's good that how he's been able to do that in the very series, particularly whether it's Darth Maul or whatever else, like in terms of he's been able to learn from that and utilize it. And again, apart from, slicing off his mask and peace, I'm out of here.
Yeah. I think I don't blame the actors. I mean, obviously some of those actors obviously got some heavy makeup underneath him, and it must be quite hard to do it in live action, but you still had human beings on there. You still could have made it they even had kids on there, and they're just going, want to play catch? Yeah. It's like you could have made them cry. You could have had them crying, like actual show a bit of fear, because I mean, as adults, we could quite, obviously these adults for a long time, perhaps. But the kids, you're being shot at, and you're seeing all these explosions coming out from the window. For a kid, that's going to be absolutely petrifying, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's like, and even as a mother, father, it's like, Christ, is going to be our last trip, so to speak. It's like, no matter who you are, it's gonna make you kind of like crap bollocks. But yeah, I also thought it was a little bit. Sorry, Carl.
I sometimes think, like, in terms of that, and it's hard to know because we weren't there and there, but does that become a little bit like when they had the Blitz in World War II and you had the people living in the tube stations and things like that? Like, they're kind of used to it, and they get to a point where, by overreacting, you just make the situation worse, and they kind of know just to play it as a normal beat sort of thing. I don't know. It's just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I suppose you got that side, but I suppose in regards to the, like, in historical act, going through that, I mean, the Blitz was every day, wasn't it? It was day and, well, mostly night, but that was just a constant thing, and it's something that you get into the underground. Most kids, obviously your parents are like, don't worry about it, it's just a slight trimmer upstairs. There's ways and means of getting around that. But I mean, you don't really see many Star Destroyers kind of floating around blowing the living crap out of people. So, I mean,
you've got a mountain taking after you.
Yeah. I mean, for basically what I understand from Legends, I mean, generally, I know obviously Legends ain't canon anymore, but generally when a Star Destroyer is there, that's when shit's hit the fan. This is as bad as it's going to get. Like over Jakku, it's like that normal soldiers couldn't contain what was going on in Jakku, which Rogue One done really well. They sent a Star Destroyer over top, and then it's just a constant continuancy of soldiers and tanks and all that kind of stuff, because they're just so massive and intimidating. Let's face it, one blast from that, you're pretty much done for. So I think, but again, it was cool to see the Devastator, Vader's Star Destroyer, actually in there, like kicking ass. But I'm pretty sure that have more guns. I mean, you watch it, but like in episode 4, like this is pretty much how it's supposed to go, isn't it? You watch this, jump straight into episode 4, and you see the Tantive 4 or Tantive, whatever you want to call it, like fly over top, and it's being pounded the living crap out. But apparently, this little freighter can take a pounding from it. Like, seems almost convenient to me, but yeah, again. But anyway, going back to Leia, I know we're kind of jumping around a bit, but I'm fairly sure. Am I the only one? Chat, please tell me if I'm wrong. Does that make Leia in episode 4 a bit heartless? If you see what I mean, because she spent this entire season running around with Obi-Wan saving her life. Then we go into that. Obi-Wan is now dead in episode 4, and she just kind of goes, "Don't worry, Luke. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. I've just lost my entire planet, but it's all right. It's all right."
And this is where I think. Yeah, and this is where I think, when we're having a bit of a chat off camera, where I start to look at these Star Wars, and particularly with this series in particular, and start to think of it, you've got to have a bit of flexibility in what it actually is. It's been going for 45 years now. It's kind of a little bit like where you had the recent Spider-Man, where you had all 3 of them come in, and it's sort of like they're Spider-Man, but they're all slightly different takes. And because it's been going for 45 years, and much like Batman, like, the Christopher Nolan Batman is different from the Michael Keaton, is different from the Adam West 1966. And even James Bond has got that too. So it's sort of like, we can start to get hooked up in terms of, she didn't know him, and the way that she, sent the message to R2, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars. Let's just forget about the fact that, I almost got you killed running away from it the whole time, and then you saved me. So, and that's where I think, we're sort of having a bit of a chat before. It's like there's been some Star Wars fans who've watched this and just hated it because they're not seeing past that. And it's almost like, okay, I get it. You've been invested in this franchise and you love these elements of it. But if it doesn't sort of evolve over the time, then it's not going to have the legs, because you got to be bringing new people in. Been going for 45 years. And it's interesting.
yeah, I mean, we've got Mama Lego in the house. It's lovely to see you, Mama Lego. And she's saying she totally enjoyed it, Obi-Wan, and she doesn't really like Star Wars. So I think that's all it was about, isn't it? I mean, yeah, you're hooked now, Mama Lego. I'm sorry, but you're going to be sitting there tomorrow watching all 6 of the Star Wars. I know there's 9, but you can skip the last 3. Yeah, you can skip them. I'm going to categorically say they're awful anyway. So, but we are on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We're not going into that kettle of fish. Yeah, I think that's probably what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, I mean, I think what Disney's trying to do, especially with Leia, they want to bring in. I mean, you look at mostly the Star Wars fan base. That is mostly men. I will say men because obviously they're holding on to, like you're saying, that 45 years of Star Wars is like, no, this is my precious one. These 3 episodes, they're my precious ones. And obviously bringing in this little girl, you know, who's obviously even in the shows, in the films, very strong-minded, very willing to do things and put herself in danger. And bringing her as a child is like, yeah, this is going to bring in little girls now that'll hopefully watch this and, you know, hopefully not get chased by bad people. But I mean, we will get onto that chase in a minute because chase is. But yeah, I think the little girl, as annoying as she was in the first episodes and the little bit of episode 2, I think she was played pretty well. I think they'd done quite a good little girl. I think she was quite good in it, to be fair. I mean, there's little remnants there that remind me of Carrie Fisher's Leia. You know, it's like very strong-minded, you know, and you know, very opinionated. You know, she's willing to stand up for herself, which is pretty much how she would be in the show, and very independent. But in regards to those chasing,
taking some of those cues from, you know, her mother in terms of Padme, and I know sometimes, particularly the episode 6 where Obi-Wan really drove that into her, you know, you're these best qualities of your mother and you're these best qualities of your father. So I think that it's good that they do that. The thing which I sort of look at is when you had Rey from the sequel trilogy, in terms of, you know, being a character that, you know, helps to bring a female audience in, or the number of females that cosplay as Rey or some variation of that.
Yeah.
And then, okay, yes, there was weird things with Reva in terms of, you know, the number of times she can get stabbed and not die. But, you know, again, it's another, you know, strong female character, got their own sort of personality and, you know, not just some sort of damsel in distress. And it's great to see that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And now it's no longer father and son now going to there. You know, the father dressed up as Vader and the little one dressed up as little Annie. You know, now you can take your daughter dress up as little Leia. You know, I think it's pretty cool, especially in cosplaying kind of things. You know, I think people are going to have a bit of fun with that, despite they probably have fun. But I'm pretty sure the little daughter will be pretty happy not to dress up as Ahsoka anymore because, Jesus, that's a lot of makeup and wearing those tails on your head as well. Woo, Jesus. Side note: when are we going to see your big news video? You'll find out very soon, Miss Briggs. You'll find out very soon. But yeah. Before I give anything away on that one, let's get to the elephant in the room. I've got to do this. The chase sequence between Raya and some bad guys and Leia and Obi-Wan and Leia.
Yeah. No, it's.
I've got to go there.
It's one of those things where I think the idea for that was good. The execution was poor. Like, you know, having some sort of chase sequence to get Leia, you know, away and captured, like that could have been really built up suspensefully and done well and executed well. And then, you know, you and I both have little kids, and just seeing that pantomime of a chase, it's just, nails on a chalkboard. It's just like, oh. And again, is this thing where, because they're doing these episodes as TV, they don't have time to coordinate these? Because you look at, you know, the book of Boba Fett with the Vesper chase, that was terrible. You know, and then even with the book of Boba, the last sequence where they're the last part of the episode 6, where they're held up in the bar and they're getting shot at, and they're coming out of that, and they've got people on the high ground all around them shooting. They're both there with jetpacks and not using them. It's kind of like, it feels like they're not refining a lot of these choreographed sequences enough. And is that because that, okay, yes, they're spending 25 million per episode, but
yeah,
okay,
and
so
I think that's the issue. Is like it just seems almost too comical. You're watching one dude and later goes underneath a tree and it kind of bangs back and oh god! It's like it's a stick. It's clearly a stick. Run through the stick. You are a fully grown man or woman. I don't know who's underneath that prosthetic. Run through the stick. It's just like she is a 10-year-old kid. You are probably around 5 foot, 6 foot. You should be able to catch her in 2 steps. I can catch my daughter after having a minor aneurysm and a heart attack, but I generally can catch her relatively quite easily. Zizu saying, first battle, Kenobi leaves Anakin to die. Round 2 basically escapes from Vader. Round 3 beats Vader and attempts that he lost forever. Round 4 allows Vader to kill him. Just thinking out loud. I thought he only fought Vader 3 times.
No, I think round 4 is episode 4.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Does Vader and Kenobi face off in Rebels? No, I don't know. No, absolutely not. No. You only see Kenobi briefly fight against Maul, which was a really beautiful shot. That was so good. And I see a Maul die like that. I was like, Godspeed, Maul. Godspeed. But I think from Darth, just a little sign, I think the way they handled Maul, I think was absolutely beautiful. But I mean, they could have done whatever they wanted with Darth Maul because technically he's dead anyway. But yeah, I think how they've done that and now just two swings from Obi-Wan, you can see how powerful and how controlled Obi-Wan is. And I think that's the mindset that a lot of people are in at the moment. I was kind of expecting to see Obi-Wan broken. You would expect him to be an incredibly broken man. He's lost everything: his order, his family, his friends, which he sliced and diced and left to cook on a planet. But I think it's like, obviously a lot of people have seen episode 4 and in Rebels, and you see how controlled and how wise and generally how powerful he actually is. But then actually seeing him in this one, they're giving him 6 episodes. He's a broken man. He's disconnected him from the Force. He's no longer training with Qui-Gon Jinn for whatever goddamn reason, despite that was his second mission: look after Luke and train with Qui-Gon. And he didn't do either one of those because he just buggered off somewhere else and forgot about the Force. It's like, and you bury your lightsaber in the desert. It's like, oh no, Luke Skywalker's in danger. Hang on a second, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You're not really doing it. I mean, what good are you going to be? I think that this is my argument. What good are you going to be to a child that is going to be hopefully the savior of the galaxy? Hopefully, one day, maybe, perhaps. He's not pretty sure yet. And then disconnect yourself from the Force and bury your lightsabers in the Dune Sea. Who the hell are you going to protect?
Yeah, or is it this sort of thing where you've just gone so far that you've just completely given up? Like, I mean, it would have been such a traumatic event. Like, your whole world is turned upside down. You have Order 66. Everyone's pretty much wiped out. You got your best friend going to the dark side. You've seen him doing whatever to younglings. You can't, you've just left him to die, sort of thing, whatever else. So I think, and then the whole way that the Empire rises and things, like, I could imagine that would leave you with some seriously messed up things like that. It's like,
absolutely,
the guy that was the linchpin in all of this, like,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I fully went into this. I think I've said this before on another. I think it was on your live stream. I think it was. I was really hoping to see Obi-Wan at his absolute lowest point. He is. I mean, he has to be broken. He has to be absolutely, completely messed up. He has to be. But at the same time, I was kind of, I think if they started out with episode 2 where they trade, with Luke's, with young Obi-Wan and young Anakin, training, if they open up with that, and then we open up to that sequence of him just kind of sitting there, and then we have the rinse and repeat episodes. I think that might have worked out a little bit better to kind of show how high Obi-Wan has come, to kind of remind us really how high Obi-Wan was to how low he's gone, and then go into Vader to show, he was this Padawan who was impulsive and all this kind of stuff, to show how powerful now he has become. I think, me personally, I think episode 3 should have been episode 1.
Yeah,
Am I?
yeah. I mean, I can see definitely. I think because we like those parts of it, that would have worked well. I think the main thing though was you had to have, the first episode or two bringing out the Inquisitors to trigger off this whole thing of, luring Obi-Wan out, sort of thing. And maybe you could have done it in flashback and things like that. But again, I think that's where Book of Boba Fett kind of fell down a little bit, because you're jumping from the past to now to the future, and it's kind of like it was a bit over the place. Whereas at least this was relatively straightforward and linear. Yes, we would have liked to have seen more of that. But no,
I think that's probably a lot of fans will be clamoring for, is probably more Hayden Christensen. I'm definitely one of those. I don't see the point of hiring him to shove him in a suit. I could do that. I'm 6'3". I could quite easily do that. I'm not quite the 7 foot that Vader was supposed to be. Well, I could be shoved in a suit. Pay me millions, I'd do it. But that's my kind of point. It's like you've hired an actor that fans have been asking back, especially prequel fans, asking for him to come back, and then it's like, wear a mask, just put a mask on, and we get stunt double for most of it, especially on the wide shots, because obviously you're supposed to be tall, you're not that tall, so have fun. What a paycheck though, what an absolute paycheck that is. I'll take that paycheck all day long. But me personally, I was hoping for more flashbacks with like at least one episode, and then cutting back to Obi-Wan, just like actually having a full-blown prequels one, and then we go back to that, and but
I think definitely if you had more Hayden Christensen in that way, you would have been able to build up more drama and tension, and have the downside of that have more meaning. And I think that for me is some parts of the series where they didn't do well, because the other one which I would have really liked to have seen was, okay, in the beginning with Leia, she's been kidnapped, she's been this, that, and the other. And then she clicks that, wait a minute, this is all happening because of Obi-Wan. And I thought they could have really played that up a bit more. Like, okay, yes, she ran around or whatever else. But in terms of going, hey, wait a minute, you're the reason my life is getting turned upside down and screwed at the moment. What the hell's going on here? Like, I thought there was more. There was more meat on that bone they could have gone after.
I think they could have. I like the interaction between Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan and Reva. I thought, it's like, she does blame. I think a lot of people that knew Anakin and Obi-Wan, they would blame Obi-Wan for failing him effectively, despite it wasn't really his fault. He was busy, fighting General Grievous. Just saying, he didn't really have a lot to do with Order 66. But I think the interaction that Reva would blame Obi-Wan for failing Anakin, and obviously have a lot of hatred towards Anakin. Really, God, why is Star Wars names have to be so awkward sometimes? But I don't know. Me personally, I think if you took Reva out of that, I don't think anything would change. Me personally, I think you could just have the Grand Inquisitor, have Darth Vader. I don't think anything could have changed.
Apart from, it would have been. You would have needed someone to put the pieces together to go, hey, I'm going to go and get Leia to try to drag out Obi-Wan. Maybe the Grand Inquisitor could have done that, but he seemed to be too much, following, the chain of command as such, whereas you needed a Reva character to have their own personal reasons for going outside of that. Maybe. I mean, it's not unknown within the Star Wars universe that obviously Vader wants Obi-Wan, and he's got Inquisitors. He's got a small army of them. I mean, they could have just got any one of them. Go on, go find him. Go do my bidding, and once you're done, come to me, and I want to kill him myself. And then fell miserably on that one. Me personally, I think Reva was just literally there just to pull Obi-Wan off that planet. And I still think, just knowing the Inquisitors are there on the planet, I think would have been more than enough to Obi-Wan kind of go, crap,
they know they're on to me. I've got to bounce. I've got to disappear for a little while to try and draw their attention away somehow. And that's how we could have the story kind of evolve around that somehow. But again, I am being hypercritical there. All I'm really after was more Darth Vader, more Anakin. That's all I was after. I was like, come on, where is he? Come on.
But I think too, it was good in terms of before the show, I didn't know the Inquisitors, maybe because I haven't watched enough for Rebels. So to see them in live action, and particularly for the kids, never seen the Inquisitors before. It's like, what are these guys doing? Like, where are they from? What are they? And just, I love that they started from Order 66.
Yes.
I like seeing that. We saw it in Bad Batch, and that was something which I was a bit disappointed with Bad Batch. So like, you see the start of that, and I thought it was going to be a lot more that series around all the mechanics and all that. And it's like, no, we got this, and then we go off for this little clone girl. So yeah, seeing that again from a different angle and kicking it all off.
Oh, that was. I mean, that actually brought a little tear to my eyes. Like, holy crap, we are actually going back to Jedi Time. We are Jedi Temple. We are going to see this massacre, a small part of it. And it's like, yes, we're zooming down the. I mean, first part. This is how sick I am. It's like we're going down. We're seeing the younglings there go and go. Vader's going to come in. He's going to slaughter him. Oh my god! Oh no, wait, there's a Jedi Master actually there training him. Damn. But obviously you see the clone troopers just like throwing down. They're just absolutely mercilessly just slicing and shooting, and that was absolutely brutal to watch. But again, that's Order 66. It is supposed to be brutal. It was the most horrible and most brutal thing that has ever happened to any franchise, from what I understand. I don't think any franchise has ever gone that dark. So, to actually watch it again on the TV, I'm like, brilliant. More of that, please. Yeah, give me more.
Another perspective.
But the Grand Inquisitor, I thought, like, when he landed on Tatooine. Now, agree with me, chat, or if you don't, please say. I know this is. Oh, there we go. I think I just blacked out there in a second.
Yeah, you're, at least for me, you weren't saying anything. So,
yeah. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. Apparently, I've got.
Just go back to the last 30 seconds.
Yeah. What was that? Where's my mindset going? I can't remember.
Starting from Grand Inquisitors.
Oh, Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor. I know. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, he doesn't look like the dude from Rebels" and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I don't care whether he looks like the guy from Rebels. It's animation. Animation, they can do what the hell they want. They can over stylize it all they want. But then when I saw him arrive on there, I was like, he does look a little bit weird. Yeah, he looks a little bit like he's put a few pounds on. But then seeing him go into the bar, I was like, that dude is intimidating. He's like, just went in there cool, calm, and collected, and just laid down the law. It's like, I am in control. You fear me. And then what really took me out was when Reva just starts screaming. I was like, no, this dude is clearly he's got everyone like a puppet. He's like, yeah, you and then kind of chops the guy's hand off. I'm like, yeah, he's much more intimidating than what you are. I'm sorry, but I fear him more because he's just gone in there so calm, so collected, because he knows he can just wipe everyone out. That's it. He knows it. And then she does that. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I don't know whether I'm alone on that one. Did you feel the same?
Again, because it was more an introduction to the Grand Inquisitors, it didn't read that way to me in terms of, she just being completely over the top. It was more establishing that power dynamic and hierarchy, and then having that sort of whole thing where, there was something there which then made her seek Obi-Wan and things like that. Because for me, it didn't feel like until I think it was the 4th or 5th episode we sort of understood or got the backstory for Reva as to why she was doing what she was doing.
Yeah.
So for a bit, it was kind of like, well, you know, she's doing stuff, but not quite sure why. I hope they tie this up. And then by the time you get to those episodes, it's like, okay, right, now we get a bit more motivation and we can understand that. But yeah, much like
I got to ask, what did you think of the character of Reva? I mean, obviously she's a brand new character. I don't know much about her apart from what you guys are seeing there. What did you actually think of the character of Reva?
Yeah, I again, it was that sort of thing. Like it took you until the later part of the series to really understand where she fit into the picture. Because after you watch the first 3 episodes, it's like, okay, why is she doing this? What's her motivation? Where does she fit into this jigsaw puzzle? But again, it's another strong character. It was somebody who had that motivation for Kenobi, which then turned out to be, the youngling and things like that. When you put it in that context, you can start to understand what she was doing. It'd be interesting now when we go back and watch the series again to sort of watch it and sort of see and understand that. I thought visually she is quite interesting. I thought the character was relatively well done.
Yeah, me personally, I found her super annoying when I first saw her. I was like, what are you doing? It's like all you're doing, you're pissing off all the Inquisitors and kind of messing things around and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I think that's the point. I think they kind of, it's like coming into episode 5, I kind of understood where she was coming from, but I think that was the point. It's like maybe they left that a little bit too long to understand what she was actually up to. Maybe if we brought it forward to like maybe episode 3, start seeing little flashbacks and start putting puzzles together. It's like, oh, hang on a second, she's not actually after, she's after Obi-Wan, but she's really actually hunting Vader. Start seeing more of the flashbacks. Start seeing Anakin's face, coming in and the temple and all that kind of stuff. Put the puzzles together. It's like, boom, got ya. I understand you now. I got ya. But leaving it until episode 5 to kind of go, right, you were still annoying beforehand, but I kind of understand what you're doing now. It's like,
but at the same time, I think if you had that reveal earlier, when then she's pursuing Kenobi, are you then sort of not believing that as much because it's sort of like, oh, she's just using him to get to Vader, sort of thing, in a weird sort of way. So I can see where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, I did find us like a little bit annoying, and to the point of when, I mean, don't get me wrong, when I saw her come out, from episode 5, coming out with a lightsaber, I'm like, oh, here we go. We're gonna have a showdown between Vader. This is gonna be a totally one-sided car. I was not expecting to be that one-sided though. It was just Reva was just kind of like, she was going to die at any given point. I mean, she could just lift her up and there we go, job's a good one. But I don't know why he didn't actually do that. Actually, so surely he could just go and shut up. But I thought that was just absolutely awesome. I was a bit, me personally, I was a bit worried that they were going to make Reva a little bit too overpowered. It's like, oh my gosh, she's actually going to go 1-to-1 with Vader now, and he's going to struggle a little bit. This and I was like, I'm glad that they kind of made Vader, no, you are beneath me, and I'm not even going to warrant getting my own lightsaber out for you. Bosh, have that. It's like beautiful. Hey Simon Moss, how you doing, buddy? But yes, what else have I got? I've actually written some stuff down here, and I'm kind of just
just on that, just in the chat there, you got Zuzi. She's a bit two-dimensional to me, and then similar maybe because they revealed her motivation so late.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people are going to share that same thing. I think if they just brought that forward a little bit, because I think that's what they were kind of implying. I think, obviously, gotta watch it back, but I think that's what they're kind of implying, that was the girl, or one of them anyway, in Order 66 scene, that was that was Reva there. I was like, but you haven't really explained what the hell's going on, because you clearly see them run away, but then later on in the episodes, she's standing over her friends, the master dying on the floor, and then there's Anakin standing over. There's a little bit of contradiction there going on there in one show. She was. I see where you're going, Susie. She was a little bit two-dimensional, and I think she could have had a little bit more better makeup on her. I know she wasn't. God, I got stutter coming on. Strictly speaking, evil, despite she has done some horrific things. But I don't know. So when I saw the Inquisitors coming out, because obviously they all got the yellow eyes, but she didn't, and that's what kind of like. Are you an Inquisitor? Are you really that evil? Who are you? You know, it's like, are you actually? Well, it turns out she was just basically an imposter, really. At the end of the day, is what she was, wasn't she? It's just like, I'm just doing this to get back at Vader. But yeah, you got to do more than that, Sunshine, to kind of do that. And then at the end, last episode, I know obviously they're only doing it in 6 episodes, but then kind of flip it around and it's kind of like, oh, I'm now good. I'm like, you've done horrific things. You just literally chopped a poor woman's hand off earlier on, and now, peace. I'm good. Done. Bye. I know Obi-Wan ain't going to kill her. I know that he's a Jedi. He's not going to kill her. But she should have been dead earlier on. I mean, how she got there is beyond me. She should be long dead by Vader's hand. But let's not get into that one just yet. But yeah, I think
that whole standoff at the Skywalker farm or whatever was a little bit silly. Like,
yeah, me personally, I was sitting there watching it with my missus, and even she was kind of going, what's the point? What was the actual point? You've gone to a planet to a kid that you think it belongs to Anakin Skywalker. You're going to kill him. What the hell are you going to gain out of it? Vader doesn't even know he's got a son, so he's going to be none the wiser. So I'm like, but what are you gaining? The only thing you're going to do is piss Obi-Wan off, and then you're going to be dead.
No, and also too, just that Aunt Beru and Owen were going to just try to kill her or whatever else. So that
she's an Inquisitor. You ain't going to do that. I mean, what I was cut, because the way they shot the scene is like you're seeing Obi-Wan there in his starfighter after just beating the crap out of Vader's like, oh crap, let's go, and then out of hyperspace, get out. Hey, it's like, please don't come at the last bloody seconds. Like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. Oh, they haven't. All right, but it's still ridiculous because he still got there from halfway across the galaxy. We don't even know where to there. In a blink of an eye. I'm like, even hyperspace is still going to take a little while to get there. I mean, they even show that in the films. It's like, it's not an instant travel, but apparently it is now. So
when it needs to suit the story point, it will be what it needs to be. But I know, and that's what kind of got it. Is like certain things in this was just a little bit too convenient for my liking. I mean, it's good that they wrapped it up, but as I was watching the end of this, the 6th episode, I'm like, this feels like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. There are so many different endings that they're sort of, okay, we're wrapping up this, we're wrapping up that, we're wrapping up this, we're wrapping up that. It's like,
that's what I said to Michelle, my missus, is like, they're just jamming everyone now into the starting position. Right, episode 4 is coming up, so you are now going to be a princess, and you're going to go on a ship over there. Luke, you stay as you are, and I've now got a house somewhere on Tatooine. Right, we're in our positions. Right, episode 4, roll. It's like, you're rushing it. It's like, and this is my kind of problem with Disney Star Wars at the moment. It just seems like that, right, you got 6 episodes. Well, why 6? Give us 8, 9, and then we can flush these characters out so much more better. We can take our time and all that kind of stuff. Why does it have to be 6 episodes? And that's what kind of annoyed me. I think that's what was going to annoy a lot of people. Is like, it just seemed to have ended so abruptly. It's like what we were talking about earlier on. It's like Obi-Wan just piecing out on Vader. It's like, really? No, you wouldn't. And then, yeah. I mean, you've literally got the ultimate opportunity there to kill a Sith Lord, and you just gotta go, yeah, Anakin's dead. Of course he's dead. So bloody kill Vader then.
Yes. Because Vader,
he's the one causing all the misery and suffering in the galaxy.
Did you not see him walking down the street in like this first or second episode? Like, when he's just throwing people around and ragdolling them all, and okay, we'll just let that be.
Yeah. No, he's only just snapped a teenager's head off. Fine. It's all good. Clearly a very nice person. but I mean, I think overall for me, I did enjoy it, the series in general. But I think as a real high passionate Star Wars fan, obviously I'm always going to be asking for more. But at the same time, seeing it from your point of view, watching it with your kids, and they're enjoying it, and I think ultimately that's what it's about. You're bringing in the next generation of kids, but also still satisfying. Now, obviously, I'm a big gamer as well, and I've played virtually all the Star Wars games, and there were so many callbacks to the old Star Wars games. And I'm not sure if you're aware of a game called The Force Awakens, whether you've ever played it or even heard of it.
Yeah, no, I remember it from back in the day. Yeah.
And the one specific scene, it was from a trailer from the Force Unleashed. It was an absolutely phenomenal trailer. It really, really was. So I think it was Force Unleashed 2. And it's there's a character called Starkiller. He's down on the chains. Vader standing over top of him inside a dungeon, surrounded by stormtroopers. Vader pieces out, as all bad guys do. You just assume that the guys with guns are going to kill a Jedi, whatever. And then he just obviously Starkiller locks down the base. All goes dark, and all you see is the lightsabers just come down, peace out, kills everyone. And then they do it in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I was just like, all I could think of was that scene. It was just like, oh my god, that actually brought in a scene from a video game into the show. I was like, perfect, absolutely perfect. Shame it was only 2 stormtroopers, mind you, but that was part. I was like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
The way that Vader in the 5th episode, I'm just saying hi there. He's going, sorry, I'm late. Was Hive going to come in? Or
yeah. Well, join us whenever you're ready, Hive. Whenever you're ready, mate.
And maybe even when Vader just ripped that ship to the ground, I thought I saw that in the video game.
Yeah, that was from The Force Unleashed as well, because Starkiller, he literally drags a Star Destroyer out of the sky. I'm like, oh, go on. But Vader just goes one step further and just rips the crap out of it. I mean, if anyone was sitting in those seats, oof, that's going to hurt. Not going to be a lot left of you, because that was just great. Just great to see, and it the ship's nothing to him is everything to him is nothing to him. It's like, ship, yeah, bugger that, I'll rip that out.
It's like tissue paper. And it was good for showing just how powerful he was and just ruthless with that. And then, I mean, when the second ship then took off behind us, so like, oh, is this, what was that? Was that Rise of Skywalker when they went to kill Chewie, or they made it look like it's just like, oh, okay, so you're doing that.
Just reading what Simon Moss is saying now. I enjoyed watching Kenobi, but I did think that it was a bit pointless. We know the outcome, and this, that. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, they're basically basing this entire series on basically 5 lines from episode 4 and episode 6. That's basically what they're basing on. Is like basically what they've done with Rogue One, an opening crawl of Rogue One. A load of rebels stole a plan. This is what they're doing. So yeah, we all know the outcome. We all know what's happened, but
I can't remember if we spoke about this either on camera or off camera, but I think you're getting lots of series here. You're getting the series like this where you know the start, you know the end. So it's going to be the bits of detail in the middle which make it interesting. As opposed to something like, I think, Mando, where it's a little bit more, because they're new characters and you don't know where they're going. Therefore, you can have a lot more interest in terms of, okay, is this character going to live, die? Where are they going? It's great that you think about Star Wars just in general. Okay, you started as films making 4, 5, and 6. Then you went back and then started doing the first 3. Like, to me, I can't remember up until that point any other series that had really done that. I mean, once Star Wars did it, then you started seeing it. Like, I think they then did it with, Silence of the Lambs, with Red Dragon or whatever it was. And then lots of other things have been sort of really leaning into that. Okay, yes, you'd always have flashbacks. So the fact that we can now get this whole sort of thing where we have these core, what do they call it now? Canon. And you can fill in the bits in between. Because certainly between episode 2 and 3 of the actual film series, that whole Clone Wars was just so fertile to go through and mine, and they're still doing it because, you got a whole galaxy of war. So I like that you can it is a series which enables you to do that. But I think you need to approach these shows in those ways then.
Yeah, I think, you're 100% right there. I think they've kind of, they're obviously Disney's making up their new canon. Obviously, of course they are. They're quite in the right too. They bought the franchise, so crack on. But they've also got to respect the canon as well, and they have backtracked a couple of times on their own canon every now and again, like with Kanan Jarrus. It's like in the comic book, it was a lot more brutal. It was, quite horrible actually reading the comic book. Is like, Jesus Christ, man, because you get the full Order 66. His master is like brutally shot down, and then obviously going to the Bad Batch, and they changed it, and that's what's kind of worrying. And obviously with the book Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, it's like they've done comic books where he was, as we all remember him, like absolutely brutal. It's like anyone got in the way, you're going to get a laser blast to the face. And then you actually see the show, and he's a kind-hearted young man or old man. It's like you kind of stick to what you know. You made the comic books, and people, especially die-hard fans, have read the comic books. Stick to it. It's like, if you're going to make a character brutal, because all it's going to do ultimately is people just go jump on the internet. This is what's happening. People are jumping on the internet and going, I read the comic books and now they're pointless because they've changed it in the TV series. And people do get annoyed by that. Because obviously comic books ain't cheap. Almost like, I think they're like
they aren't cheap in terms of entertainment to buy, but in terms of entertainment to produce and play around with ideas and stories and things like that, you can get the general crux. I mean, the whole MCU at the moment is mining stuff from the 60s and 70s. Where a little bit of the 90s.
Up at the moment. It's just completely, it's in shambles at the moment. But
yeah, but okay, up until till Infinity War, basically.
Yeah.
Where they can take, they've been able to test out the different concepts, ideas, and tweak them, and take the elements, and okay, maybe it wasn't Iron Man who did this, but we're going to do it there, and we'll have Cap do this and that, because you got the fundamentals. So I like that in terms of, then it gives the comics the freedom to do new things and try new things. And if it goes too far or whatever else, you can sort of go, okay, well, wait a minute, let's dial that back.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think because obviously, the Marvel films, they are obviously going in their own direction, but at the same time keeping the same aspects of it. And I think also with comic books, there's a lot more flexibility there, because they could just go, well, this is not 616 universe, this is 672 universe. They could just kind of, but I mean, again, but with the films that we've seen with Infinity Saga and all that kind of stuff, and what we're going into now, they're saying that this is the 616 universe, and this is why the characters look the way they look, because they are drawn straight off the comic books, and they really have. And I think with Star Wars, I think they could have done exactly the same. It's like you could have taken a comic book adaptation and made it into an adaptation of it. Still kept it faithful to the comic book, but just change it slightly for the big screen, if you see what I mean. It's like they could have quite easily done what Marvel done, still keeping the same story, but just TV-fying it or film-fying it, because Star Wars has got a huge amount of comic books they could have gone over and used. They had so much to do, and they just decided to bin a lot of them and make their own thing. But they are bringing them all. I am seeing more often now, especially with Kenobi as well, that they are bringing in stuff from Legends into canon. Because you're seeing characters like I was talking about earlier on, Starkiller. You even see his lightsaber, his broken hilt lightsaber, with his kyber crystal hanging out. He's technically a Legends character, but there's his lightsaber in with the rest of the lightsabers. So and now obviously all the fans are now going to start going, now is Starkiller now actually alive? And there was some other Legends characters from the comic books from George Lucas era now starting to appear in the Disney thing. So maybe they are going down that road now. Maybe they are starting to think about more adaptations from older comic books, like how Marvel do it from the older comic books. Let's start doing this. I don't know,
it's
but
the thing where if you've got a whole universe, again, it's the sort of thing, going back to the 70s Marvel comics, or the DC, or the Dark Horse 90s stuff, to the current ones now. again, you've had now decades and decades of different people playing around with different ideas. So yeah, we paid for, or Disney paid 4 billion for it, which in hindsight looks like a bargain. And it's like, well, why don't we take these elements of things that we know that work, or
Mm.
in terms of like what you just said, what you've seen, because you're more hardcore into it as a Star Wars fan, you like the nod and things like that. Whereas me, it's like I have no idea, like
Yeah,
what's so
yeah.
and
So,
you like it can work on
yeah,
those levels. It's like when you watch the old Warner Brothers cartoons. As a kid you read one thing, and then as an adult you get something else. So it's sort of like if you're really fully invested in this and you're really passionate, you're gonna see all these bits and pieces, and then for other people, you're just gonna enjoy the ride.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's slightly different than that. Obviously, yeah, I've been diehard on it for, how long are you on a fetus for? Yeah, since then. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, I've probably watched episodes like with Kenobi. I've definitely watched episode 3 probably about 3 or 4 times because there's so many little Easter eggs in there that I'm kind of like fanboying now. I'm like, holy shit! There's Starcode's lightsaber. There's Quinlan's Voss's cloak and all that kind of stuff. Like, wow, brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and little callbacks like that. I'm like, and I think only diehard fans would ever notice that.
Yeah.
Like someone like you who's just sitting there watching is like, that's a lot of lightsabers. They look cool. It's like,
and it can get to the other point where I think was it episode 3 or 4 when they were going through the Inquisitor base or whatever, and you had all those things in the Ember Chambers. I'm just sort of looking at that as a fan and sort of, I don't know what half of this means. I'm sure it means something. Like,
yeah.
Oh
yeah. Just sit there
and that's where I just felt like,
yeah,
it was something which was, it was more than just subtle. Like the fact you're walking through the whole thing. Like I think for people, they really need to have just either like a label on the bottom of it, or have the characters make some throwaway comment about what they're seeing to sort of, because otherwise it's sort of like, okay, you're walking through this whole room of stuff. They're obviously, preserving people or doing something. I don't kind of really know who any of this is, but I know that there's something here. Make it a little bit more idiot proof.
yeah. We also have Butchop in the house. Hello, Butchop, and he's coming with one thing. How dare you speak badly of Disney? They are flawless in everything. And then and then Cabbage Faces has come in with name one bad Star Wars film, one bad Disney film. It's impossible. I could name a few.
Any of the 90s remakes, Aladdin, Lion King.
yeah, it's yeah. Well, I mean, I think in regards to like, I see like the classic Disney films. They're just product of the time, weren't they? At the end of the day, they're not bad. They're just a product of the time. And obviously now they're remaking them all, and they look even worse. So yeah.
I mean, that could be a whole other conversation, but it's like for something like Lion King, it's the stylization of the animation which made it work. And when you translated that into real CGI, you lose a lot of that. But anyhow,
yeah, that's a discussion for another day. Maybe another live stream on that one. Or maybe not. I don't know yet. We'll see how this goes. See how controversial we can really go. But yeah, anyway, get back to Kenobi anyway. Yeah, by all means, chat as well. Please let us know as well. What was your favorite episode? What was your favorite scene and all that kind of stuff? Please let us know. What were your bads? What were your bad scenes? What were your bad episodes? Let us know. Yeah, very interested to know that. Very much so. So yeah, what was your standout episode then? While we're talking about episode, what was your standout episode that you could quite happily sit there and watch again, or kind of fanboyed out over?
I think
all that you just generally enjoyed.
It's fresh, or because it just had so much bringing all together. It probably would have been the last one, because you got to see, when I was watching the first part of the series, and they had that first meeting between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, where it was so one-sided. It's sort of like, oh, throughout the rest of the series, is he ever going to get up to a level to be comparable to Darth Vader? Because if he doesn't, this whole series could just be a one-sided whitewash, and it's sort of like, well, that's not really interesting.
No.
So be able to see that, and again, as we sort of said, just hitting the nails and things. Seeing Qui-Gon, even having the Emperor appear in it, a nice little way to tie it back in. And I think that then goes back to something you're talking about earlier in terms of, why couldn't Vader go off and do all this? Well, if you see the scene with the Emperor sort of is very much like, no, you're not doing this. You're doing what I'm telling you to do. Like, you're not looking for Obi-Wan. You're not. So,
no, you do my bidding.
Yeah.
You do what I say, bitch. Yeah.
and take it that way. So, I think that's probably it. Like, I think, as we always sort of say, the first episode or two, considering it was good that they released those two together. But again, it's setting an introductory. You need to put the characters in, start saying who they are. The basics. So sometimes that can't be super interesting. Apart from, as we've already said, the Order 66 opening it up. I think, probably the most recent one. I mean, for you, what would you think is your favorite episode?
I think for me, I can only pick out certain scenes that I could actually say, yeah, absolutely stand out. Like in the Inquisitorium, watching Obi-Wan, throw down, quite hard on the stormtroopers. It's like nice callback to video games. That was definitely a good callback to video games. That scene was. But when the two speeders came in, I was like, that is some shit CGI right there. I mean, you just see one speeder come in and just kind of hover there. I'm like, well, if you could do that, why don't you do that in episode 5? You can hover on top of the 8080. And then you see them kind of come in. They're blatantly going to hit a wall, but somehow they circle around. That took me out at the moment. But watching Obi-Wan kind of go down there, that was beautiful. The interactions between the Hayden Christensen, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker in the temple, that was just perfect. That was just so good. As a prequel fan as well, I absolutely love that. Yeah, I thought that was so good. It's like, and my God, they haven't aged a day, have they? I know obviously they've done a little bit of a touch up on them CGI, but damn, Hayden Christensen, he's aged pretty well, to be fair to him. But then, episode 6, obviously still very fresh in the mind. The fight scene between Vader and Obi-Wan, I thought that was very good. And I think it was, again, a little bit rushed. I think that's what we talked about earlier on. It was a little bit rushed. It's like, well, okay, yeah, Anakin's dead. And all right, peace, bye. And then just kind of fly off and go help. It's like, could have tacked that a little bit better. You started plucking on the heartstrings and all that kind of stuff. And then you just peace out and run away. No.
It's like you're not, for a really clever Jedi, you're kind of not getting there. Like, you left him sliced up in Mustafar, and you could have ended all of this.
Yes,
no,
absolutely.
Okay. You get another chance to do it, and
he cocks it up 3 bloody times. It's like, come on, man. It's like, oh, how bad you have to be. Yeah, no, it's for me, I can't really pick out a standout episode because each one of them have good elements, but also have bad elements where it just seems like it's rushed. It just seems like it's rushed, and that's what kind of annoys me. It's like, did it need to be rushed? Did it honestly need to be rushed? I mean,
I think, unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of the beast, because I've been thinking about that too, in terms of, okay, they spent $25 million an episode. They did 6 episodes. There's $150 million for, let's just say, 5 hours of content. If you have a feature film, and let's just say it took them 18 months to do, which I think is being generous. If you have a feature film, which is $200 million for the budget usually these days, this sort of movie, you got 3 years, you've got half the runtime sort of thing. Like, it just sort of seems with that, the movies are just going to be more polished because of the dynamics at play. Whereas I think we're starting to feel that a bit more because, it's one of the few, I guess, franchises which is now going backwards and forwards between film and TV. Okay, we haven't had so many films since, Rise of Skywalker. But you just try to think, okay, yes, they're doing it with Marvel a little bit, but that's its own juggernaut. But then you take it out of that, what other series or franchise is able to do that? You have some films, you have some TV, you can do live action, you can do animation. So I think it's the first time you see it. So you're able to pick up on these things when you go, wait a minute, this felt clunky. It felt rushed. It felt, because you've got so much of this. You're able to do it so well in film, and it's like, well, the resources that you throw at the film and the time scale are different from a TV. I don't know. It's just speculating on that.
Yeah, I mean, going on what I'm seeing in chat at the moment, it's like Buckshot said they failed on film, so they had to quickly, rechange their tactics. But do you think this would have worked better as a film, as maybe like a 2-parter film or a 1-part film, where they could have had a bigger budget and polished out the CGI and stretched the story out a little bit more, or do you think it just works better as a TV show? Maybe just had a slightly bigger budget for it.
I think that there's two things that you get. I think if you can get a film with a single vision and you can execute on that, it can work brilliantly, which is what George Lucas was able to do. But as we've seen with 7, 8, and 9, less so 7, but certainly 8 and 9, you start getting the studio involved, and people got different agendas and different things here, and they're running off in different directions, and it just becomes a mess. At least with something like this, it did feel like it was coherent. You had, was it Deborah Choi who's kind of directing all of
Chow,
them? Sorry, Chow. So you had that. It felt like more of a cohesiveness to it. So it's kind of like, are you just robbing Peter to pay Paul with it? What you gain from having it as a film may be lost. Like you look at something like Solo as a film, very mixed. I didn't think it was that bad. It certainly wasn't great.
I think Solo as a film, you're right. It wasn't a great film, but it was neither a bad film either. It was just an entertaining film that I think you could quite happily sit there, like I've done with my daughter. It's a pretty harmless film. You could quite happily sit there, watch it. Yeah, it's a little bit dark in places because I'm not talking about like brutally dark. I'm just talking about turn the fucking lights on. But I think that's also down to some obviously I think obviously Solo was obviously had a bit of production issues there. But yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I don't have a lot. I saw Solo in the cinema. I'm probably the only person that ever did see it in the cinema because I do actually still remember this day seeing Solo in the cinema, and I was the only bastard actually in there. And I was like, I kind of felt sorry for it because it was badly timed. Solo was. It was just a badly timed film. It had no marketing. Well, hardly any marketing, and it was also coming on a really bad backlash from the Last Jedi. So,
also I think that's going to help. From what I can remember, that was when Disney itself, then, the directors people high up in Disney, or maybe it was Lucasfilm. It was when they first then started to really attack the fan base and go, "You guys don't know what you're doing." As fans, no, you're wrong. And it's like, you can't have that response. It's just, it's not going to work. It's not going to be pleasant.
No, you're asking for trouble there. It's like that they must have understood. I mean, the Star Wars fan base has always been a very passionate and very, very vocal community because they just want, I mean, even when George Lucas was in charge of it, I mean, this is pretty much why George Lucas sold it. Apart from obviously he was obviously he's knocking on a bit and he felt like he couldn't do it anymore. But I think he was also a bit heartbroken in regards to the backlash of the prequels. Now, obviously, the Clone Wars that came along, the animated series kind of came along and reinvigorated it, so to speak. It kind of went, holy shit, there's actually more to this, and made the iron, flushed out the characters a bit more. They had time to do that. Where am I going with this? But I think in regards to Disney, because we didn't like because obviously we screamed and shouted about it on Twitter. Well, I say I didn't. I'm not on Twitter, but in regards to seeing what other people are saying about it, and to one extent, I'm agreeing with them. It's like, it was a very poorly executed film that made no goddamn sense to the trilogy whatsoever. But then Disney just out and out attacking films like, no, you are wrong. It's like, you should like this film. It's like, don't tell me what I should and shouldn't like. It's like, we are the fans. We're the one paying you the money for us to watch them. It's like, just hold your hands up. Yeah, we cocked up. Big case of the oopsie daisies. Don't do it again. Well, then obviously they kind of. I mean, obviously, then everyone started loving Disney because of the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian came out, absolutely fantastic, and then the Book of Boba Fett came out. Oh crap, we're back to this again. And I think now with
had was Bad Batch in between that though?
Bad Batch was in between that, and I think that was always going to get a bit of love anyway because obviously it had Dave Filoni attached to it, and he was sole writer and sole producer and sole director of those things, despite obviously having other directors coming in, but he had the vision, and I think that's what Star Wars needs. Like what I did with Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have one person. But I think she should have, also had just one writer, one writer, one vision, and just kind of go with it instead of just getting a committee in and kind of throw storyboards at it. This is why Star Wars works, because it was George Lucas's vision and it was his mindset. Whether people liked it or not, this is what was going to happen, and whether people liked it or not, tough shit. This is my vision, and when you get a committee involved in it, this is what happens. You end up getting a backlash, and you end up getting, because there's too many ideas being thrown around.
Just playing devil's advocate on that a little bit, though, because you're talking about, the hardcore base sort of being more into the comics and everything like that. And that's certainly going to be different people having different takes on it, and potentially probably less committee, because it is, doing a comic and compared to a TV show or film, it can be, they can turn that from a script to market in about 6 weeks if they need to. It usually takes about 2 or 3 months, but it's a very different time horizon. And in terms of, it's not like, okay, we've got this whole world, okay, we've got to build so many 3D assets, texture, and It's like, okay, you're the artist, just start drawing some pictures, and you can get quite a bit for not so much free, but you get a long way very quickly with very little. It's certainly, going back to the question you're asking before, would you like it as a movie? It's sort of like, would you like the Book of Boba Fett as a movie? Like, it's kind of like,
I reckon, the Book of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, in my opinion, just should not be made. The way they made Boba Fett just does not work. Because in regards to the fan base knows what Boba Fett is like. He was shown in the Clone Wars, and he was also shown in the TV, in the films as well. All right, he went out like a punk, but he's a bounty hunter that always gets his prize, and he always gets his prize because he obviously catched Han Solo. Yes, he killed IG-88, who technically got there first, but he killed him. But then to kind of go into the TV series and make him a polite man, it's like, you're going to rub people up the wrong way. And then if you've done that in the TV, in a film, you're going to rub even more people up the wrong way, because you're going to have the fan base and also the TV community going in to watch this and just like, what the hell am I watching? I might should just go and watch. I don't know what. I don't know anything that even compared to that. And it's just like, they messed Boba Fett up badly.
This is what I think we were talking about before we had the camera on. If you had, because of Boba Fett, this great visual, awesome badass character, if you would have then gone into the series, okay, he's a crime boss, and played it as The Sopranos, I think that would have been awesome. That would have worked really well. So
I think that absolutely would.
I think the idea was there. The execution was just no, because you're coming back and so like you go back to any of the other earlier media looking at Boba, and he's such a a straight up and down killer sort of type character and things like that. And okay, I get it. You can have a bit of a character arc and sort of soften the edges and things like that, but it just almost looks like he got softened so much he became jelly. And so like, oh, he's listening to all these other people who are doing things better than him. Like Fennec Shand seemed to be the main one doing anything, and then he's just kind of there as a character, just reacting to everything rather than being more of an active.
And that's the thing. You're kind of rooting for Fennec Shand more because you're agreeing with everything she's saying. It's like, yes. Don't go, no, sorry, we'll make an appointment later on. It's like, no, you're a bloody crime boss. Lay the gun on the table and go, oi, let me in now, or this is going to hurt. Butt Chop's admiring your haircut, by the way. Just
he's about to head out. So thanks for listening and putting your comments in. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyway, please, Butt Chop. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the soothing voice though.
Sorry.
His last comment, the voice is soothing. Okay then.
Sure as hell ain't my voice. It's definitely your voice, Matt. You got that smooth Australian accent.
Apparently, when this is done, it will be on Spotify, so you can go back over and listen to that again.
You can listen to all you like. Control Alt Delete, bam. Bye, Solo. Oh yeah, nah. All right, but anyway, we get back onto topic of Kenobi because pretty much why everyone's here. Yeah. Oh god, I've lost my train of thought now. I was going to go back to Kenobi, but all I can think now is the Book of Boba Fett now.
Okay, so I think we branched off this. Would we have preferred to have seen it as a film?
Yeah, I think Book of Boba Fett, absolutely not. Kenobi, if it was shown the way it is in film, I think it would have rubbed more people up the wrong way if the way it is on TV show. But I think Kenobi, with a few more hours added on top of it, would have worked a lot better on TV if they gave it 4 more episodes, perhaps. Because I think in a film for Kenobi, it would have been rushed even more. Yeah, because now you really are having to. I mean, the story would move along at a much brisker pace. You wouldn't have to, have the filler parts. Because you don't have time to do that. You've only got roughly about 2 hours to kind of do it all in. So
I think if it was in film, because first of all, you're going to get half the runtime at least, and you probably would have either had the whole thing with the Inquisitors or Leia. That whole part there would have been smashed together in some. Like there would have had to be something much more punchy to get Obi-Wan back in the game as such.
Yeah, because I mean, let's not forget. Originally, when George Lucas sold it all on, they announced that Obi-Wan was actually going to be a film. And then it went to production hell. Then obviously The Last Jedi came out and it went, holy shit, we better cancel all of this and start again. And then Disney Plus came along.
Similar with Boba, that was one of the initial ones announced as a film. And then, as time went on,
I jumped out my chair when I heard that Boba Fett was going to be made into a film. I was like, yeah, get in. Yeah, we got bloodshed. And well, probably just as well it didn't get made into a film because I would have been bored shitless out if I sat there and watched that. Stop apologizing. Zizu wants to know, what were your thoughts at the end with Qui-Gon Jinn?
It was one, great to see him because it was sort of throughout the whole series you see like, okay, is he going to reconnect? Is he going to connect with, and then you saw him and things like that. And I liked it the way that they left it in terms of it enables them a jumping off point for something else moving forward should they go into a season 2. Like I think there's another 6 episodes where you can explore them doing something going forward. So I did like that part. Again, it's the sort of thing where it's almost like you're getting the band back together again. It's like, okay, we've seen Hayden Christensen. We've just seen, Ian, what's his name? Is it McDermott or McDonald?
McDermott, yeah.
McDermott. Yeah. You're starting to see, and then you're seeing Liam Neeson come back into it. I think it's also a bit of fan service. It's a bit of going, okay, right. There was probably one character who was killed off very early in the prequels that you go, actually, we want to know more about that one.
Yeah, I mean, is it either me? I'm looking at like that, like these shows. I mean, I like going them from other TV shows and all that kind of stuff that they've used the de-aging stuff. I mean, they got Qui-Gon Jinn there as a Force ghost. I mean, they could have, livened him up a little bit because clearly he's aged quite a lot since he was a ghost. And I'm pretty sure that as a ghost, you're technically dead already, so you should be the same age. So he looks like he's seen a few city miles since the last time we saw him. Like, yeah. As I say,
it's the sort of thing, though. I think if it's that uncanny valley, which for anyone who it's a technical term where the closer you get to how somebody looked, it just feels weird for a very long time until you get spot on. And I think we saw that a little bit with, was it the end of Mando season 1 where you had the CGI Luke, or you had at the end of Rogue One the CGI Princess Leia. Like those really grated. Whereas for me, seeing these ones where I guess they're using some form of deep fake / whatever else, it's not as that uncanny valley weird thing. Like I can watch it and just go, okay, this works. I'm not really being taken out of it because I'm seeing dead eyeballs going in weird directions.
Yeah. I think they definitely improved the dead eye kind of thing. So obviously they snatched someone off YouTube, didn't they? They paid someone on YouTube to kind of do their deep faking for Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. I think they worked it out pretty well. Still looks a little bit weird.
What I think happened was the guy, they obviously they did Mando, and then as a fan, he went, well, this would look better as deep fake. So he did that, and then when they saw him do that, it's like, actually, do you want to come and do this on?
Yeah. But hey, Coconut, welcome. Well, Coconut Solo from 10 years ago. I look so young. Thank you very much. I moisturize every day. I don't.
It's got the de-aging filter on it.
Yeah, it's all de-aging, mate. It's all the de-aging. But getting back to Zizou's question, I think, my God, what a troll. An absolute troll, Qui-Gon Jinn is. Like, I've been here the entire time. Did you not want to answer then? Like, Obi-Wan was like, clearly like, please help me. I need some guidance. Like, I've been here the entire time. You just weren't listening. What?
I've let you leave Vader alive twice now.
Yeah. Obi-Wan, kill him. For God's sake, answer your Force Ghost phone. For God's sake. But yeah, I'm with Zizou. I would have absolutely loved to see more of Liam Neeson as a Force Ghost. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, yeah, shame it was only just like 4 seconds at the end of the show. I mean, yeah, it worked, absolutely worked, but I mean, it just kind of played off like he's a troll. You know, he's just like, I've been here the entire time. It's like, you absolute arsehole. You know, it's like Obi-Wan was really needed you about 4 episodes ago. Hey, yeah, it's like, and yeah, you could have kind of solved a few issues. Yeah. Kill him, Obi-Wan. Kill him. Don't let him survive. He's only going to get worse from here.
You're playing Russian roulette with the galaxy by just timing this a little bit late.
Yes. But no, I thought actually seeing him come back, it's like, I instantly just kind of looked around my missus like, oh my God, it is actually Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, brilliant. She's like, who the hell's Qui-Gon Jinn? He's the only guy that got killed in Star Wars by a lightsaber. Don't worry about it. He's back. He's like, wow, he's aged. That's the kind of way I went. That was my thought process on that. I was like, that's generally what I said to her. I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird to actually think that he, apart from Order 66, he's the only dude that's got killed by a lightsaber. It's kind of messed up, really, when you think about it.
That, and I mean, Obi-Wan, but he kind of let himself be killed. But I mean, yeah,
he was just like, take me, bitch. I'm going to be more powerful anyway. And well, I'm going to bugger off to a swamp planet. Peace out. He's quite good at that, isn't he? It's like, yeah, I'm going to become more powerful. I'm going to make your life a living hell. Don't worry about it. You right, Yoda? Just going to let the planet burn for a little while. Let the galaxy just kind of go in turmoil, despite obviously seeing in, what was it, episode 9, clearly got able, with Luke Skywalker able to manipulate the real world. Apparently that's a thing now. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going there. Of course I love seeing him back, and I would maybe I wish, obviously, asking for more of him. Yeah, bring him in like episode 5, perhaps. Maybe Obi-Wan is now finally getting counsel from him. What should he do? Should he face Vader? Should he not? Should I save these people, or should I just peace out and run away and go hide on the planet again? Maybe.
Yeah, that could have made an interesting thing where, episode 5, he asked for directions or guidance from Qui-Gon. He gets the guidance, which seems to be a bit of a wuss move or whatever. And then in 6, he does the complete opposite and makes his own decision. Or, there could have been something interesting done with that sort of dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's maybe that's where they went a little bit wrong, perhaps, because obviously we know from episode 3 that Yoda obviously told him, go train with your old master, go learn how to communicate with him. And maybe that's how we could have maybe started. I mean, apart from him just going, I need your help, master, I need your help. Maybe actually show him trying to train to kind of harness this. He still knows how to use the Force and all that kind of stuff. You can still make him a broken man, but like every time he goes back, you see him there meditating, trying to learn how to communicate with him instead of what we end up getting. And then maybe every now and again, you just kind of see like little, like he's slowly getting there. You're slowly starting to see the outline of the ghost slowly coming back in, and then still have the same troll sequence at the end. You can still have that, but yeah.
Or alternatively, you just have a similar sort of thing where you just have flashbacks to Obi-Wan as a Padawan with Qui-Gon Jinn, doing learning some sort of lesson, which then becomes relevant for where he's at, or that point of guidance that he needs in that moment or something. I mean, that could have been.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's more exciting, because I was watching something on IMDb where obviously they're doing the press releases for all this kind of stuff, and they were talking to Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor. God, so yeah.
He is an actor.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Shut up. I don't know him anything else. I haven't seen Train Spotted. I would absolutely love, and he kind of teased it as well. And I know Liam Neeson's also teased this as well, which I think is going to be actually phenomenal if they actually do like a prequel to the prequels. Before Obi-Wan, episode 1. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, I know we're getting this year. I think we are, and I think Liam Neeson's actually voicing Qui-Gon Jinn, the Tales of the Jedi, which would be really. I think that's next. So cool to watch. So cool to watch, because you're actually going to see Count Dooku finally see from that perspective him actually becoming an absolute douchebag and or an awesome dude, whichever one to look at. Shame that obviously Christopher Lee, rest in peace. But obviously different voice actor for that one. But it'd be really cool to see that. Even Qui-Gon Jinn fails, despite he's an awesome guy and the only person that ever died. So.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, I guess it's the sort of thing, again, are we going to go, okay, if we go back to the prequels, like pre-prequels, how are we going to call that?
I don't know how they're going to work that one out.
We, again, know where these characters are going to end, so does that make it interesting?
Well, that's just it, isn't it? That is just it.
I mean, just at the moment, listening to Star Wars Darth Plagueis, which is basically a lot of
that is a good one.
What you're talking about in terms of, you got Plagueis there, and then the rise of Palpatine. You get Darth Maul factoring into it, and I'm sure there's another thing. Which
do you think it's more like Obi-Wan? It's just like the intrigue of it. It's like, okay, we can read it in the comic book, but now we can see it on the screen. We know how it's all going to end. We know who's going to live. We know who's going to die. So that part of the drama's gone. But is it just the intrigue of, all right, so that's actually how it happened? This is how the Empire rose, how Chief Palpatine got into power and rose up. Is it just more the intrigue of it, the curiosity of it all, despite obviously the predictability of it?
Yeah. And again, the same sort of issue that we've had, even to some degree, with this old fogies, who saw the original trilogy in the cinema, wondering about how Vader came to power and things like that. And then you saw it in the prequels. And then, at the time, there was certainly division among the fan base because, it's not how it happened in your head. But it's certainly, given the throwaway line from, what was it, Revenge of the Sith, the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, cheating death and all that sort of thing. Like, you kind of just open that up. But I think the other thing is then, sorry.
No, go on.
So much of what we've been doing so far, or what they've been doing with the Star Wars, has largely been looking back and filling in gaps. And okay, that's good. But in terms now, okay, what are we doing moving forwards? Which, we sort of hinted on a little bit. That's probably what works well with Mando, because you're not sure what the end point is.
Yeah.
Okay, you've then had episode 7, 8, 9 do weird things. And you get to the end of 9, and with the films, the one criticism I probably have with them, particularly the last ones, is that it's just another Death Star. And by the time you get to 9, you've got Star Destroyers, which are Death Stars. Like, okay, we're over that.
Yeah.
And the thing which they've been hinting at, and this was kind of my takeaway from Obi-Wan when they're in the Inquisitorio thing, and also too going back to some of the canon stuff, is how they're playing around with experimentation on life, and having these vats and whatever else. And I think it was in Mando as well, when they went into one of the bases there. I mean, the whole point of Mando was getting baby Grogu to experiment on him. So, I would like to see going forward in terms of films and things like that, starting to look into those elements and what they can play with that and do something different. Like, do not give me another Star Destroyer, Death Star. Like, I don't want to see that.
No. I'm 100% with you. I mean, I remember sitting there in the cinema and it's like, oh, look, it's Starkiller Base. It's just it says Death Star. Wow, how imaginative was that? My God, did the First Order not learn from us? Obviously, that was what was wrong with the Death Star. It was too small. Let's make it into a planet. Yeah, that's going to be much harder to destroy, isn't it?
That's no moon.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I'm 100% on your side there. I mean, I think in regards with the sequel trilogies, they had everything to play for. It's like, I'll get to your question in a minute, Azizu. They've wiped away the old canon. They wiped away the legend, so they could just done whatever the hell they want. And then it's almost like they just went, well, let's just play it safe. Let's just copy the original trilogy. Even have to make up a new, bigger, more exciting looking thing. Well, it's still turned out to be a bloody grey planet anyway. So you haven't changed anything. And then obviously they tried with The Last Jedi to make it more. I don't know what the hell they were trying in The Last Jedi, but they could have just ended it there. It's like they had everything going for them in regards to a blank slate, completely and utterly blank slate. And they I don't know how they messed it up, but you're right. With The Mandalorian, it's a blank slate. They can just do whatever they want. They can kill him off if they want to. It's not going to affect the trilogy in any kind of way. They can just do what the hell they want with him. But with Zizou's question, they're saying we should go back, way back to the Knights of the Old Republic. Yes, as much as I would absolutely love to see that, I would also see the absolute backlash from the people who played the original game. If they don't get that right, they're still going to be in the same boat. The Star Wars fans are arseholes. We are. But unfortunately, the Knights of the Royal Republic video game was absolutely fantastic, and they're remaking it anyway. So, let's see if they can not mess that up. Please don't. So we have to wait and see. But yeah.
With Episode 7, I can understand in terms of you've got, you had a big lag between the prequels and the next sort of film as such. So in terms of making new old again, or old new again, sort of thing. So in terms of pulling that back, so being able to create a new fan base, doing that, okay, great, whatever. Then when they went with the next two, again, management by committee, not sure going with directors. So like, we're going to get a director who's known for indie films, and we want the indie film. Like, the thing which I did like about Last Jedi, which they didn't really get too much into, was basically the dynamics of war and funding both sides, and building the arms supplier. I thought there was something really interesting about that. That could have been
100% right. And I for once, for defending a sequel film, I'm 100% on your side. I know they did touch on a little bit of that in the Clone Wars. Obviously you had the Confederacy of Planets, and then you had the trade federations, which traded on both sides. Supplied on both sides, but more implied than shown than anything else. But then obviously in this, they actually showed you, obviously executed not very well, because going to that weird casino planet, but then obviously coming to the end of it, it's like, this is ultimately what it is. How do you think these people got so rich on the backs of war profiteering? And it's 100% right. I mean, it happens in our worlds, it really does. And I think they execute, the message was correct, it was right, executed badly in my opinion. They could have done that a little bit better. I don't know how. I'm not a producer, I'm not a director, but I think you're right. You are right though, 100% right. It's at the end of the day, it all comes down to execution. At the end of the day, he had the vision there, but like you said, it was all done by committing too many hands in one pot. at the end of the day. It's just it needed one person, one writer, one vision. That's all it needed.
Yeah.
And apparently JJ Abrams had that vision, but well, you should have bloody stuck at all sodden films then, shouldn't you? You should have done all 3 films instead of buggering off and then picking up the pieces later on.
Later on, sort of thing. So
I could go on about those films for days.
But the only reason I sort of asked that is, we want Star Wars to move forward in time, so then we don't have the same problem that we have at the moment, where we know characters are going to get to that, so there's no real stakes. But how then do you treat the sequel trilogy? Because even Disney seemed to be 9 kind of retcon parts of 8. So do they kind of just pretend it didn't happen, or do they just kind of sidestep and go?
The way I'm seeing it at the moment, like looking at it from my point of view, it's almost like they're just trying to make sure people forget about the sequel trilogy, because you look how many toys are being made for the sequel stuff. Look how much merchandise there is for the sequel stuff. Look how much advertising there is for the sequel stuff. There's basically nothing. It's like everything, like in regards to Lego, everything's finally starts to become prequel stuff, Clone Wars stuff, original trilogy stuff, but nothing's coming out from the sequel stuff, because
no, I would like
in recent years. I'm talking about not when the films are coming out. I'm talking about now. You look at what's coming out.
I'm still talking about now. I look at my kids and they've got some, Kylo Ren t-shirts and things like that. And so, in terms of, obviously we've got a very strong interest in Lego, and there's nothing in that direction. They came and went with the films. I still think there is a bit of merchandise floating around with it. Obviously the other big thing which they've been developing and pouring tons of money into is Galaxy Edge, both the theme parks in the States. So they're obviously, they're still seeing stuff there. But for me, I think that's the next thing. Okay, Mando's going to do it to some degree, and Ahsoka, I really kind of looking forward to Ahsoka as well, because it's kind of picking up from points where, again, we don't know where her story goes. And it's something we've been able to watch from, I think it's 2007 with the first Clone Wars films through that. It's a nice character progression and study.
Absolutely. Oh my God, we've got another Aussie in the chat. Oh my word. All right, Tasman.
Hey, Tasman. How you going? Hope you're good.
Yeah, you're doing good, buddy. Hope you're doing good. If you watch the Kenobi series, please leave your thoughts in the chats if you've seen it. That is, or and
this is heavy spoilers, so
it's heavy spoilers. So if you ain't seen it, you have been warned. I did hear, which I thought was very, very interesting, because obviously going on with the going on by the little references that they've been doing to some of the old Legends games and Legends comic books and all that kind of stuff, like hearing the old things come back, which I'll be proper down for if they do this. If they do bring Starkiller back in, I think he's far too powerful from the video game to bring back in, but I suppose things can change. They've got rid of the Legends, so they can make Starkiller back in again and make it a little bit weaker. But what I thought would be good, because obviously Starkiller was Vader's apprentice. What someone came up with, you have the Padawan fight the Master, which obviously Ahsoka versus Vader. You had the Master fight the Master, so you obviously had Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Vader versus Obi-Wan. Then you have Vader's apprentice. Yeah, I thought that was nice little poetry. That I thought that was really, really cool. I thought I'll be down to see that. Or you have Ahsoka and Starkiller fight Vader at the same time. Both of them are effectively his apprentice. That would be cool. That'd be cool. But that's definitely not going to happen. Absolutely not. But as much as I would like to see that. And we have the Daily Brick in the chat. Hello, buddy.
Hey, Lex. How you doing? Hope you enjoyed Chicago Brick World.
My God, we've been doing this now for 2 hours. That's unbelievable. Almost 2 hours. Absolutely
just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface. But I think we will leave it there. I did actually have a poll on the chat. Anyone else wants to leave the poll, please leave it. Please cast your vote. I'll give it a couple more minutes.
Maybe just say a couple of quick things to wrap up then. Overall, for the series, a score out of 10.
I would give it a very generous 7. I would give it 7 out of 10. I'll give it.
Okay. Yeah. I would probably look. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it with the kids. It ticked a lot of the boxes. Um, it had some new characters for me, at least in terms of Inquisitors and things like that. I think a healthy 8. There were some things which I did think were a bit janky and stuff. Like when you got to that point, was it episode 5 when you got the snowtroopers there at the gates, blasting it with the gun. And then Reva comes along with the lightsaber, like a little lockpick. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like, so there were some points like that where,
I think definitely for me the worst scene, the absolute worst scene, is when Obi-Wan and Leia are in that transport and they come up to that security gate. You can blatantly just drive around that gate. There's nothing in between that, and they decide to just drive straight to the gate. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's cool to watch a stormtrooper get cut in half, I suppose, but you could have just gone round. Anyone could have just gone round that gate and been none the wiser. It's like, who the hell decided to put a laser gate there? But anyway, we could nitpick this all day long. For daily break, daily, it was 7 or an 8 for him. So, all right, fair enough. He's probably got the same mindset as probably all of us. I think for anyone that watching that film or for watching the TV series, I think we could all say there's definitely some clunky and interestingly bad written areas, but also some really, really quite good and interesting parts to take away from it. So, I enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to rewatch it again. To maybe next time I do this, I might have another mindset on it, perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. I might come back and think, no, it's crap. It's rubbish. It's a waste of time. But I might turn around. Maybe I might change my mind on it. But I definitely got my good and bad points on it, as we discussed. So anything you missed, you can obviously rewatch it. And obviously, don't forget to even leave a like on it. I have not done this streaming malarkey for a long time, so I am a bit rusty on it. So please forgive. We will end the poll. I have no idea. Does it come up? Oh, there we go. So we had, did you like the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show? We have 15 votes. An overwhelming 73% said yes. 26% of people said no. So very interesting. Very interesting. So I think majority of people, will definitely the last 2 episodes are definitely the best episodes to kind of take away from it. Anyway, I think they're definitely the best episodes. Better written, but definitely better written as well, I think. But anyway, that is going to be it for us today. Thank you very much for joining me today on this lively discussion. But if anyone in the chat wants to say any final words about it, then please feel free. But also, if you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe as well. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning. So if you have made it to the end after 2 hours, hit that subscribe button. And if you're on Spotify, thanks for listening. So, hey, Chef D, everyone's coming in just at the last moment. Anyway, thank you very much to everyone in the chat as well. We had Butchop, Brett's Builds, we had Miss Bricks, Zizu, who's been here pretty much most of the time, Cabbage Face as well. Yes, thank you, each and every last one of you, for being here. And the Daily Brick, Tasman, Chef T's just dropped in as well. We had Coconut Brick Studios, and also Hive was meant to join us as well today, but he's had some technical issues. So I definitely want to get Bricks Hive's opinion on this show, so I probably might do something like this again at some point. But yes, if you guys do enjoy it, please let me know. Leave a comment down below as well if you are interested, and for me to do something like this again, a nice little chat show again. But anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for Matt for joining me on this one today as well, and I'll catch you all later on. Take care, everybody.
Thanks very much.